Conspiracy theory? Hell no, this is conspiracy fact. The New World Order is here. So what you gonna do?
Hey, I'll swallow your soul! I'll swallow your soul! I'll swallow your soul!
Swallow this.
And we kicked it off there with the sound of Public Enemy, State of the Union, Chuck D, Flavor Flav. Hello and welcome to our first podcast number 1. You're listening to the old school of Hard Knocks. And today I'm talking about the military coup in Pakistan, the imported government, the regime change that has been undertaken in Pakistan, a military coup taken by Chief of Staff Bajwa and his cronies on the say-so of America, Europe, the European Union, and the Western world. And before I carry on, I want to put my cards on the table and make it abundantly clear. The biggest cancer in Pakistan since 1958-1959 has been the Pakistan Army. The Pakistan Army is the biggest vermin, the biggest cancer this country, Pakistan, has been unfortunate to be under such dictatorship. The tradition of Pakistan politics and military coups go back as far as 1951. The conception of Pakistan took place in 1947. From 1947 to 1958-59 is when the first military coup took place, General Ayub Khan. So, relatively speaking, Pakistan has only been a free entity, a free country for 11 years. All the sacrifices, all the deaths, all the hardships that people went through in the partition of Pakistan and India and Bangladesh, all for 11 years of freedom. And let's not forget the war between East Pakistan and West Pakistan and the ethnic cleansing that took place there. But anyway, this is just a basic history of all the military dictators, Ayub Khan, Zia-ul Haq, Pervez Musharraf, and today we have this donkey, this prostitute of a man, what we call in Pakistan a Kanjar, Chief of Staff Bajwa, the biggest motherchod, the biggest motherfucker on the planet who has just sold out his whole country on the back of the say-so of the great Satan itself, the United States of America. This man is a psychopath who has removed a democratically elected prime minister from office because of orders and instructions of the United States. The Chief of Staff Bajwa, who removed Imran Khan, and only done this on the instructions and orders of Joe Biden and his administration. And the orders have come from Joe Biden and America and Europe because Imran Khan, after 3 years, finally opened his eyes and smelt the coffee. And that Imran Khan was attempting to make good relations with Russia. And the world needs Russia. The West, as in Western Europe, the European Union, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, this is a wolf pack. And if anybody ever studies a wolf pack, you realize that the wolf pack sticks together and they divide and conquer. They leave their victim or their prey in isolation while they gang up. The world, Boris Johnson, the Turk, or Joe Biden says, or what Macron says, or what the European Union says, or the World Economic Forum says, or what David Rockefeller and the Rockefeller Foundation says, what Bill, the son of a bitch, Gates, son of a jackal, son of a whore. These really are agents of Satan, but Satan can only act if there is a weakness, and Pakistan has many weaknesses, and corruption and payoffs is one of those weaknesses. For $1 million each, America paid off and bought off the PTI party backbenchers. This was the cost of their dignity, was $1 million. This was the price for their punishment in the grave in the hereafter. $1 million. This is the cheapness of Pakistan. This is why nobody takes Pakistan serious. This is why nobody trades with Pakistan. Precisely because of this, there's no stability, there's no honesty, there's no dignity, there's no integrity of any form whatsoever, from the root to the fruit, from the head of the country to all the civil servants that work under the Pakistan uniform. I have been critical of Imran Khan since he came into office for the last 3 years, simply because he was determined and stubborn to make relations, positive relations, with America, with the European Union. When they rejected his overtures, Imran Khan finally had sense and returned with his tail between his legs. Pakistan serves as a prostitute for the United States and the European Union. This is down to not the politicians or the people. The country has been under control and rule by the army. And every problem and issue Pakistan suffers in the year 2022 going forth is directly because of the mismanagement by the army. The army has pillaged and put the country under pressure and debt. If Nawaz Sharif and Asif Zardari and Benazir Bhutto and every other thief before them and after them was siphoning off funds from the people, then you can bet whatever, for every dollar that these people took, the army took 10. Pakistan is now facing that it may be the first country in the history of the world that did not survive a century. This is a real possibility. And if this imported government, this regime change, which obviously slaps democracy in the face, if this continues, there will be civil war. And Pakistan is heading towards a civil war, especially with inflation. But the army is the army, and the army looks after itself and its people. And to hell with the rest. The army has the best healthcare facilities, the best schools. All their doctors are trained in America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. Upper class housing schemes are all owned by the army. All the free healthcare, all the good food, everything goes to the army. And the people of the country suffer. And the debt that Pakistan is under now with the IMF is directly because of the stooges that the army places. And the army is a stooge for America as well. These are dogs. Bajwa is a dog for America. Pervez Musharraf was a dog for America. Zia-ul-Haq was a dog for America. And every other army general, chief of staff, which has come to power and has headed the army, have all been dogs. Kutte. Dogs and whores for America. And nothing has changed. These people only think about the dollar they earn today. They do not think about the assassination they will receive tomorrow. Just like Zia-ul-Haq. Zia-ul-Haq was the hand behind Zulfikar Bhutto, and when he had done the American bid, then they blew up his plane. As I said, I've been critical of Imran Khan for the last 3 years, but he was finally coming to sense and making relations with Russia and tightening his relation with China, because the first 3 years he ignored the Chinese. I don't believe the Chinese is anybody's friend. The Chinese are business people. And if Pakistan is overrun by India, or if Pakistan is invaded by an external force, China will deal as a businessman with whoever is running Pakistan. We must be aware that the world needs multiple superpowers to retain balance. America and Europe, they need a foe, and Russia is the foe. And I don't believe Russia to be bad. I don't believe the Russian people to be bad. They have never practiced colonialism or imperialism. They've always looked after, especially after the Soviet Union, had respect, and Putin especially has always had good respect for Muslims. He does a lot for Muslims in Russia. And in turn, I have a lot of respect for the Orthodox Christians And when I used to live in London, I had a lot of Orthodox Christian friends from Romania, from Poland, Bulgaria, Russia. They're what you call good Christians. What I will determine as a Christian, or what was in the history books of the Ebonite Christians. These are pretty much similar. And because Imran Khan was invited to Russia, and on the back of President Putin offering 30% discount if Imran Khan was to purchase wheat and oil and gas, and the Americans saw this as a problem. And since then, Imran Khan has been interviewed on Western media, Sky News, CNN, Piers Morgan. And the one thing that I noticed in all three interviews is that they were all conducted in the same manner. The questioning was conducted and carried out in the same order. All three presenters were aggressive. All three presenters or journalists have Imran Khan announce or denounce Russia, which he didn't. If any of the listeners have time to watch those interviews, they are all reading from the same script. On top of that, why did you not denounce Russia? And he didn't denounce Russia, nor should he denounce Russia. Because everybody is going to have to pick a side. And General Bajwa and Shehbaz Sharif and that slut of a woman, she gives me blood pressure, Miriam Sharif, and that puppy dog, Bilawal Bhutto, and his scarecrow of a father Zardari, Asif Zardari, they have picked the wrong damn side. And if you had to give an award for the village idiot and the runners-up, Chief of Staff, where are you? Moving forward, what does Pakistan need to do? Because inflation is here. We don't know if elections will be forthcoming, but if the people of Pakistan want change, it's going to be bloody. And until blood does not spill on the ground and on the roads of Pakistan, there will be no change. It will be the same repetitive. It will be the same condition, people living over and over again. The rich, just like the rest of the world, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Your value is only as much as your financial condition. Pakistan is in heavy debt to the IMF, unable to sustain, because when Imran Khan was sitting at the seat, he was taking on more loans to pay off loans. Everybody knows that's the worst thing you can do. But there was no alternative because Pakistan has no trade. And this is because the army will not allow Pakistan to trade. They suffocate any investor in Pakistan with so much red tape that the investor just jumps ship and leaves and cuts his losses. The army has been the biggest cancer and son of a bitch this country has had the misfortune of being ruled under.
If you hit us, we don't turn the other cheek. We'll knock your bloody block off.
Moving forward, what needs to be done? Someone will have to take the hit for the debt that this country is under. If I was a member of parliament or if I was in government, the first thing I would do is remove Pakistan from the United Nations, remove Pakistan from the World Health Organization. I would reintroduce gold and silver into the exchange, at which point America and the World Bank and the IMF will devalue the Pakistan rupee, which is going to happen anyway. So you might as well do it on your terms rather than their terms and stop being a puppy dog and living in fear. Unless Pakistani people start removing their money from the banks, all the central banks that the army has let function in Pakistan. The people of Pakistan need to remove their money from the banks. They need to invest their money and savings into gold and silver. They need to start trading in gold and silver. And whatever punishment the IMF and the West and the Americans enforce on Pakistan, the people will have gold and silver to fall back on and trade. But nobody announces it. There's a way out of this situation with the IMF, and it's going to be painful. But somebody has to take the hit. Which generation of people will take the hit? And Imran Khan, wake up. You need a good economist because you have no idea how to run an economy. You have no idea how the economics of your country, the severity that it's under. You have to stop paying homage to the IMF. Cut your losses. Stop trying to pay back the loans and the interest. You'll never be able to pay the interest, let alone the loans. The people of Pakistan and the people of the world, because you're all under fucking debt. Everybody is under debt. Everybody is in debt. Every Muslim country apart from Iran is in debt. Get your people to buy gold and silver. God's money is gold and silver. And God willing, inshallah, you will duck the punishment from the Americans and the IMF. But it is vital and important moving forward that Pakistan removes itself from the United Nations. United Nations is a Western gang which is there to do nothing more than to dictate and facilitate all these evil satanic monkeys of America, of Great Britain, of Europe, of Germany, of Israel, Australia, New Zealand. This is what Pakistan needs to do. And I'm going to tell you one thing, what's happened with Shehbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif. Why? Look, these people do not have the capacity to recite the ABC up to Z without stumbling several times. If Bilawal Bhutto went to Oxford University, I want to know how much he paid for that degree. Because if you talk in a posh voice, it does not make one intelligent. It is the thought process that makes one intelligent, and awareness and wisdom. Knowledge without wisdom is a car without wheels. You can talk posh as you like, Bilawal Bhutto, you're still... These are the people that run the country. We do not wish to talk ill of the dead, but Benazir made a pretty penny of the people of Pakistan. Zardari made a pretty penny, Mr. 10% himself. Nawaz Sharif, Shehbaz Sharif, Miriam Sharif made more than a pretty penny. They made pennies. So what's happened with Shehbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif, Miriam Sharif, Bilawal Bhutto, and Asif Zardari? They've been called to the American embassy, and there's no doubt Nawaz Sharif has been called to the American embassy in London. And they've had a conversation, a real deep conversation with the Americans and the British and the Europeans who do not wish to have Imran Khan in power. Because Imran Khan said Pakistan will not fight any battle for America or the West anymore. And do you know, the day that Shehbaz Sharif came into power Prime Minister after overthrowing in a military coup backed by America, underwritten by America, the bombing campaign against Afghan and its people started. What has Afghanistan got that makes America and the Western world just keen to destroy its people and its land? What is it about Afghanistan? Well, if my reading is correct, one of the great armies will come from Afghanistan and Khorasan. And this is my theory as to why America are relentless and the Western world are relentless and the Israelis are relentless in bombing and damaging Afghanistan and its people. They know that there will be a great army. And if the audience thinks that these people do not read scriptures, then this is a very shortcoming on your behalf. So these guys have been called up by the Americans and the embassies and Nawaz Sharif as well in London. And they've been told, and this is why they acted so swiftly, they've been told that all the money that they siphoned off, and this includes the army as well, and Bajwa's own little fortune, and that he's siphoned off, and all the other guys who work under them. Because you got to understand, America has many dogs, and when you have many dogs, you got to hand out many bones. And Bajwa is an American dog. He's the biggest kutta that the Pakistani have had the misfortune of leading their army. The army needs to be overhauled. The army needs to be audited. The army needs to know its place in the pecking order. The army does not need to attend political rallies or political meetings because the army has no business in politics. Whenever you saw Imran Khan or any other prime minister or the president welcoming foreign dignitaries, you always saw the fucking army standing there. The army is the army. Your job is to defend the country and its borders and nothing more. The army moving forward has to be audited. They have to show where all the money is being spent, where it's going, why they need such large amounts of cash, and mainstay of all, which war are they fucking fighting? They need all this equipment, all this cash? Which war are you fighting? The army is a curse on the people of Pakistan. But the Pakistani people do not fathom this because there's so much army propaganda on TV. I refuse to watch Pakistani TV because every 10 minutes you will have an advert by the army. That we are defending the borders of Pakistan and we are shaheeds, meaning martyrs, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, the next track I'm about to play is by myself, old school, of Hard Knocks. It's called Coup d'etat, dedicated to the people of Pakistan. This is in response to the military takeover and imported government that has taken place in Pakistan. Let's do this. This is the military state of Pakistan. One of many halls to America. Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Going way back to the old status quo, American titty sucker back on the throne. Grubby little hands coming back for more. I got more respects for a 2-bit whore. Better understand I got an axe to grind, trying to understand this psychopath mind. Blessed by the army, undertake this coup. Bardwell, devil, motherfucker, see it through. American dog, both scraps and bones. For those bones, send in those drones. Fuck the people, we can see the scars. Bardwell's watch, coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Giving up the arms to the USA, your white is right, so you must obey. Society's felt this kind of decay, treason motherfucker must convey. Lust for power, how many are slayed? At some stage you're gonna have to repay. Maybe when you're cold and dead in your grave, maybe I'll see your grave's cabaret. Sharif family, a family of crimes. Dari family, bullshit and swine. Miriam Sharif, a political whore, sucking on dicks to get through the door. Wake up, bitch, you're part of a dynasty. It's not for your brains, you're part of the ministry. Fuck the people, we can see the scars. Bardwell's watch, coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat.
We have been replaced by a bunch of criminals. 60% of the cabinet which is sitting right now is on bail. That this was a conspiracy to remove the government. It was a foreign intervention.
No remorse for this heinous crime. The devil's hand is nicely primed. Enough is enough, you provoke this rhyme. God willing, one day the sun will shine. This is a sign of the times. People of the world, be not blind. 1959 was a crime. Muhammad Ali Jinnah didn't have this in mind. Damn the people, we can see the scars. Screw the people, we can see the scars. Fuck the people, we can see the scars. Horse to America, coup d'etat. The military state of Pakistan, grabbing America by both titties and sucking on its blood. The blood, the representation of bondage, slavery, war, and straight up imperialism. Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat.
I'm sorry, but the UN must be firm with you. Let me see your whole palace or else.
Or else what?
Or else we will be very, very angry with you. And we will write you a letter telling you how angry we are.
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make, is to think that their enemies should be our enemies. We have our own struggle, which we are conducting. We are grateful to the world for supporting our struggle. Our attitude towards any country is determined by the attitude of that country to our struggle. Colonel Gaddafi, Fidel Castro support our struggle to the hilt. There is no reason whatsoever why we should have any hesitation about hailing their commitment to human rights as they are being demanded in South Africa. Our attitude is based solely on the fact that they fully support the anti-apartheid struggle. They do not support it only in rhetoric. They are placing resources at our disposal.
So back to this point that I've been trying to make for the last half hour. Shehbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif, Miriam Sharif have been called to the embassies and they've been told quite clearly that if you wish to retain the money, the stolen money that you have banked in the Swiss banks and the Bahamas, in the banks of Westminster, if you wish to retain this wealth, then this is what you need to do. And also the army has been told this as well, because the army does not deal in rupees. Why would they? The rupees are for the poor people of Pakistan. God forbid, astaghfirullah, what a fucking mess. These people are self-serving, they protect their own interests, and they care nothing of the people of Pakistan. I cry for the people of Pakistan. I am one of them. And the army, it doesn't deal in rupees. The Pakistan People's Party, the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, these people do not deal in Pakistan rupees. I don't deal in Pakistan rupees. But I never stolen a penny in my life. Whatever I have earned, strived and struggled. But the Pakistan currency is such a yo-yo, you cannot put money into the bank because it will be devalued within a year. It'll be worth less than half or half. As soon as I came to Pakistan, gold and silver, and alhamdulillah, praise be to God, God's money is gold and silver, and it's held its own against the dollar and the pound and the euro. So these people have been told that if they wish to continue to be wealthy and not be deported back to Pakistan, then they must undertake this act of treason. And moving forward, if Imran Khan, God willing, Imran Khan or some strong leader of Pakistan, strong man, surrounded by strong people and righteous people and God-fearing people, they need to bring these people to task. The Chief of Staff, General Bajwa, death penalty. Nawaz Sharif, death penalty. Shehbaz Sharif, death penalty, and his children. Miriam Sharif, double death penalty. Bilawal Bhutto, death penalty. Asif Zardari, death penalty. And anyone else who was involved in this treasonous behavior against Pakistan and its people needs to receive the death penalty and be made an example of. This is treason. And treason has been committed against Pakistan and its people, and it needs to be dealt with swiftly and severely. And whoever comes in, and I hope it's Imran Khan, that he brings these sons of bitches to task before they get to the grave, and then they're brought to task in the grave. People of Pakistan, be strong. The leaders that you have are not your leaders. They care nothing for you. They care nothing of whether you bleed. They care nothing of your tears. And they sure as hell don't care anything about your struggles. The expenses in Pakistan are rising. Inflation, this is due to the debt of the IMF. And the IMF is obviously controlling the inflation. People are now not driving cars as much because of the petrol prices, gas prices. People are struggling to put food on the table because everything has risen 30, 40, 50%. The bills have gone up. Electric, gas has risen. This will lead to one thing and one thing alone, and that is civil war. And if Pakistan goes into civil war, which it will, and I am guessing that the army and Bajwa has calculated this, if Pakistan falls into civil war, then I would imagine that Pakistan will split with the Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, and the KPK. And this is exactly what India wants. This is exactly what the United Snakes of America wants. This is what Europe wants. And they can walk in comfortably and remove the nuclear missiles that are held in Pakistan at this time. And it is those missiles that are keeping Pakistan safe at this time. We do not want to be another Iraq. We do not want to be another Syria. We do not want to be another Venezuela. We do not want to be. But if we have to be free of this evil, then we should take the temporary hardship, whether it's from the IMF, whether it's from the World Health Organization, whether it's from the United Nations. We should not be a part of these organizations. They have nothing. They care nothing for the Muslims. They care nothing for the Pakistanis. They care nothing. If your skin ain't white, they don't give a shit. It's a race war. It's always been a race war. The Russian war and the Ukraine tells you it's a race war. The people of Pakistan, I implore you, start investing your money. Remove your money from the bank. Start buying gold and silver. Because when the economy crashes, and they call it the Great Reset, there's nothing great about it. It's all evil. And now they're pushing the agenda of food shortages in the world. This is the Dajjal speaking, because the Dajjal's main weapon against humanity will be, and Dajjal is the Antichrist. His main weapon against humanity will be food, the bread, the rice. People who observe and do not get the information from main media and who are thinking people should by now realize the road and the twists and the turns that are forthcoming in the world, not just in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the poorest, that's why it's at the top of the list. But I hope and I pray that the people of Pakistan stay strong. We do not go into a war, because Pakistan, as much as I am part of the people of Pakistan do not have the mental capacity or the strength to fight a war. The army has taken care of that. These people do not have a culture of fighting or training to fight. The army has closed all gun licenses, so you're not able to get a gun license. And you've got to understand that the army does this for self-preservation. The army, or Pakistan army, preserves itself by not issuing guns and gun licenses to the public of Pakistan. In case one day the public of Pakistan will wake and say, oh, wait a minute, everything has been taken by the army. We should get it back. And they start blowing the heads off Bajwa and his cronies. So this is why you don't have guns. And if you do have guns, you got them way, way before. And if Pakistan ever goes to war, the army better do what they say they're going to do. Because you have left the people with nothing. You've taken everything. And the responsibility will lie on your shoulders. But I don't see that. I have a feeling that when war comes, they'll do a runner. They'll run with Nawaz Sharif and Shehbaz Sharif. They'll all run to the west. But there's no running from God. And there's no running from punishment. You'll be found and you will pay. You'll pay, if not in this life, you'll pay in the next life. But I pray that you pay in both lives. You hurt your own people. You don't value your own people. This is a sad state of affairs, but this is the culture of the world today. I wish it wasn't this way. I really wish it wasn't this way, but it is. We have to deal with what's in front of us, not just in Pakistan, but collectively in the world. We have to try and overcome this. It's going to be hard. It's going to be bloody. And this is just the beginning. Things are going to get a lot worse. But there is no turning back from this. If Pakistan and the people of Pakistan want a chance, somebody like Imran Khan, someone in his guise, who does not bow or bend the knee to America and the West, a person who can save the blood, sweat and tears of the people and their earnings and their savings by just making an announcement. People of Pakistan, do not put your money in the banks. Invest your money in gold and silver. I don't even keep cash on me. I just need it as I need it to spend. And this is how people of Pakistan need to implement their finances. There's a way out of this, people of Pakistan, but it's painful. And somebody has to take the hit. You ask yourselves, who is going to take the hit? Because it's not our forefathers. Our forefathers were people of Nawaz Sharif and Shehbaz Sharif. Asif Zardari and General Bajwa and Pervez Musharraf, people of this caliber. They're good for nothing. Somebody has to take the hit. Who will take the hit? Because you will have to take a hit in the terms of a devalued Pakistan rupee. You can save yourself. There's a way to save yourself. But unless the head of state, the man elected, whether that be Imran Khan or some other, comes out to the people and says, remove your money from the banks, buy gold and silver, we will buy gold and silver. We are no longer prepared to pay this money and interest to the IMF or the World Bank. We will default, we have no interest. But this way you have a little bit of chance to save the people. When a man has faith and believes enough to take the first step, then God will take 2 steps towards you. Thank you for listening. This has been Old School of Hard Knocks. If you have any comments you want to make, you can do so by contacting us via email. I'll put the address somewhere. And if this is on YouTube, email address in the links. Tell us what you think. Do you have a better solution, an alternative solution, and a realistic solution that does not involve bending the knee to Pakistan's enemies and to Satan? May God protect us from the shaitan. May God protect us from Satan. May God protect us from the Dajjal and the Antichrist. God protect us from the evils that men do. That we live another day, we live in hope, and we pray that we become better and stronger for this. Sometimes we have to take a beating and a hiding to become strong and resilient. Kadi-kadi mazboot hono kotakani vendi. Think yourself as a boxer, because even a boxer has to learn to not just fight, but a boxer has to learn how to be hit. When the boxer learns how to be hit, he becomes stronger. So, anyway, this has been the Old School of Hard Knocks. This has been our presentation this week, podcast number 1. A little bit out of practice. Tried the best I can. Takes up a bit of time. Hope you enjoy all the music. This is the great thing about internet radio. I can put on my own music. I can put on Public Enemy. I can put on Stixo Rodriguez. I can put some classical on. Don't have to answer to nobody. If you listen to on YouTube or any other platform, you'll receive an edited version of this. But if you want to have the whole radio show, then you can follow us on internet radio. It will work on Windows Media Player and all the other players that are out there. I'll leave a link. We're just getting started up. Things might be a bit slow initially, but once everything is started up and running, then we're just going to keep moving forward. And I want people of the world to be strong, be brave, put your fear aside. Time of revolution is coming, but it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be nice. God bless you all. Stay safe.